Hi crafters and welcome. So today is Sunday, January 4th. Happy New Year to everyone. So today I'm going to show you a technique that is called no line coloring. Now this is a newer product. This isn't as old as like inks and paper and stamps. Mass coloring stencils, layering stencils, whatever you want to call them, have been around, I would say probably for the last, stencils have been around forever, but the coloring and the layering ones have really gotten popular in the last 5 years or so. So I'm going to show you a technique called no line coloring using Stampin' Up's, they call theirs mass. This is Layers of Beauty. It matches up to our bundle Layers of Beauty. Okay, and I'll show you the no coloring part, and then I'll show you how you can add definition to it at the end. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and I'm going to cut a piece of basic white into 6x6. That matches the size of the stencil. Put this over here for now. Put this back. All right, and I am going to use my Stamparatus just because, even though it's retired, I love the Stamparatus. It is one of my favorite tools. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this up in the corner, and I'm going to lay out my stamp that we're going to color. Now, with no layer coloring, you don't stamp anything down to begin with. I'm just going to make sure Stampin' Up! Has their notches and their numbers. Let me see if I can get it so you can see that number. See number 1 there? So they have notches and ones. Gina K has her name down at the bottom, I think with the name of the stencil, the coloring stencil she calls them, in the bottom, left and right. All right, so I'm going to look at this. This is essentially how this card lays out. So I like using my Stamparatus so I know that I'm always getting that up in the corner there. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to have these stencils right up in the corner here. All right, and since it's winter time, I'm going to use more wintry colors for the flowers, just to give it a little bit of a, I don't know, winter look. They're not your reds and pinks and yellows you would normally think you're seeing. So I'm going to make sure that this stencil's all the way in the corner, and I'm going to start off of the stencil, off of the mask, and go over. And I'm going to go clockwise and counterclockwise so I catch all of those edges. Oops. You want to make sure you're holding it. You can use tape if you want. I usually don't use tape because I know I'm in the very corner of that. And you could use, if you have a MISTI, you can use a MISTI. If you have a stamp wheel, you can use the stamp wheel. Any positioning so it keeps the stencils in place will work fine. So now I'm going to grab this one. You can kind of see they do kind of line up, and I'm going to take my next color. Now this one is more of the deeper blue. It's the Azure Afternoon. So again, I'm going to get some color on there. I'm going to start off of this, and then I'm going to go over. I'm going to go in both directions. Now I'm not pushing hard. There are a lot of delicate little pieces on these stencils that get caught very easily. So you do want to make sure that I'm not really pressing that hard. But where I want a little more color, I'm going straight to it instead of going off. And I'm just trying to get a little bit of more stronger, more saturated color in the middle there. Okay, so let's go ahead and take that off. Now my next layer is the very center of this. So I could use a really, really dark color, but I'm going to go back in with my Azure Afternoon, and I'm just going to go straight to those center parts. So I'm going to go straight on there. So it's the same color, but it's more direct to that stencil, so it'll show up a little darker. Again, it looks like I'm pressing hard, but I'm really not. I'm not pushing down. I'm holding my brush fairly lightly. Okay, so let me bring this up a little bit so you can kind of see, because I know the lighting, it's kind of, the sun hasn't quite come out yet, but it's a little overcast here. So that's what we have so far. Now we're going to take this. These are the leaf and stems. So I'm going to do the leaves in Lost Lagoon, and then I'm going to do the stems actually in Highland Heather. So let me go ahead and put these back. Let me get out. Let's see. For Lost Lagoon, I'm going to use what's considered my darker green. I have a darker green blending brush and what I call a lighter green or more yellowish green brush. Again, we're going to do the leaves here. I'm going to start off of the stencil, and then I'm going to go over, going in both directions. Again, I'm not going hard. I'm just mainly coming over that edge with my brush, not pushing down a lot, just going in those circles. All right, and my fifth and last stencil is going to be my stems, which you could do in a darker green, but I am going to do very lightly with Highland Heather. Now, Highland Heather and me have a love-hate relationship. I rarely have reasons to buy multiple stamp pads, but for some reason my Highland Heathers just don't want to stay inked. I bought re-inkers, and I don't think it looks the greatest, so this is one of the stamp pads that I have bought multiple times, because there's nothing like a brand new stamp pad. All right, so now I have all of those, and see, when that purple goes over that green, it kind of makes a little bit of a darker look. Let me go ahead and bring this up to you. So that's what no line coloring looks like. It's kind of like your ephemera. I'll take it off for a second. I do have a little bit of adhesive on there. So it does look like your ephemera where the lines just fall off. Now, if you want to, you could take your stamp and you could line it up and stamp in the black. All right, I'm trying to see. Don't want to really get my head in, but I'm going to probably. All right, so that looks somewhat good. What I'm going to do is, don't I have a piece of, sorry, I'm getting a piece of acetate from underneath here. Oh my gosh, I know I have some. All right, you know what? I don't have. Let me see really quick if I can find some acetate. I'm going to grab it out of one of my older stamp sets. I'm just offside grabbing that piece of adhesive. All right. And the reason I'm doing this is I think this looks like it's lined up, correct? But you don't want to have to go through all this work and then find out that you aren't really lined up. So we're going to pick this up. Oh. I don't think I should have had that. See if it still looks lined up. I think that was too thick. Did you see how it was kind of bulging up? Oh. Let's see. All right, it still looks like I've lined it up okay there. What I'm going to do is put the acetate over. Put my hair all over it. So I'm going to put the acetate over. I'm going to ink it up with my memento. And this is if you don't want to have this look where it's that no line color. So I have this up, I have that up. I'm going to stamp down on my adhesive to see if it's lined up well. And it looks just a tiny bit off. Feels like it needs to go down more like this. So let's try this again. Now you want to leave your acetate in there this time because you have gotten black marks on it. All right, let's try this again. Let's take this acetate. Let's wipe it off. Let's try this again. You know, I think I'm going to, because Simon Says is a little bit of a deeper black for the acetate layer, I'm going to go ahead and use that. And let's see how we're looking. All right, that looks good. See how all the lines are lining up? So now we'll go ahead and take that acetate away. I'll go back to my memento. And let me show you. Here it is before. Gorgeous, very soft. Here is what it's going to look like after we stamp it with that memento. There you have your outlines. So it gives you a little bit of that watercolor look. Now before we looked more like ephemera and you know that no line. Now you definitely have that black line which gives it the watercoloring look. So I'd be interested to know which way you like better. Go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know. So that is your lesson for today, your technique for today. No line watercoloring or no line coloring with stencils, mass coloring stencils, layering stencils, whatever they're called out there. Every manufacturer calls them something different. So let me know how you like that technique. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye for now.